All right, guys, welcome back to the stream. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome. If you are new, thank you guys so much for joining me today. And thank you for waiting patiently for the intro to finish up. Just had a lot of sugar. So I will let you guys know now that there's probably going to be a lot of energy up front with this stream. And then at some point over the course of this stream, I'm likely going to have a sugar crash. And just out of, I'm just everything's going to come down and I'm just going to be sitting here like a zombie. So that's likely going to be the trajectory. No, digital dude. Don't make me do it. Don't make me do it. Hawk Tua. You made me do it. He paid $2 to make that happen. All right. I love how digital dude immediately matches my energy, just immediately. But yeah, welcome to the stream, guys. I'm going to let you know up front as well that that this is probably going to be a bit of a shorter stream. We did like a 3.5-hour stream yesterday. I'm not going to put like a time limit on this stream. I'm just saying we only have really one, maybe two topics actually to cover. Well, we technically had two topics yesterday, but yeah, I don't know. We'll see where it goes. I see Hellbound's excited for Luna. Yeah, she's, like I said, she's getting well adjusted. Boss is here with me too. He's under the desk. And man, yeah, Boss is in this weird state where like he still wants to be around. Like right now he's here, but he's so irritable that it's like, all right, dude, like I'll just leave you be. Whoa, hey, whoa, what are you doing? What's going on there? But yeah, Boss is just very irritable right now. So I'm letting him in here. Just gonna let him do what he wants to do. Hopefully him and Luna can get along. Do cats get jealous? I think so. I don't know. I imagine they probably do. I know that they get very territorial. But yeah, Boss scratched my finger earlier because I was brushing him a little bit. He was chilling on the cat tower as I was getting stuff set up, and I saw he had like a lot of dander on him. So I was like, all right, I'll just go brush him. And dude, he got so pissed. Like he's like, no, you're not brushing me. And he fucking swiped me. And I'm like, bro, fine. It's like, whatever, be that way. Boss hates me now. Luna, what'd you do? Hellbound says, yes, they can. Should have named her Miss Boss Jr. But yeah, let me tell you guys what we're going to be talking about today. So I have a bonus topic. I really only have two topics. One is, as you can see, a new PlayStation Studio game has actually leaked. The concept art has leaked, and the type of game it's going to be has leaked. So we have minimal information to work with, but I want to talk about this because I think I know whose game this is. And I'm surprised that there isn't more discussion surrounding this. I kind of understand, I guess, why, because there's not a whole lot to go off of. But it's definitely something that's flying a bit under the radar. So we're going to talk about that. And I do have one bonus topic. I'm not going to say what that topic is yet, just because we'll cross that bridge when we get there. If it isn't multiplayer live service, we're good. It's not. It's not. Luna, whatever you're doing, you got to stop. She's trying to climb the back of my chair, dude. You can't do that. Oh, man. And the chaos begins. Is it real concept art, though? It seems like it is. Yes. Luna. Don't. All right, Luna, come on. Don't start. Don't make me have to escort you out of here already. Up here. I got this random bandana that's just been showing her. Here, you come play with this. Come play with this bandana. Anyway, it's a cat channel now. Yeah, it's a cat channel, obviously. Well, I mean, truthfully, man, God, I can't wait for this month to be over. I can't, like, dude, July is notoriously slow for gaming, but my God, this July is is painfully slow. Um, I mean, I'm trying to think of like anything of. I guess the most significant thing maybe is the PS5 Pro topic that we discussed, and maybe this, but yeah, it's slow, man. It's slow. Saying you think the state of play zapped the energy from early summer. Yeah. I mean, it's normal because it wasn't just Sony with the state of play. It was also, Summer Game Fest, the Xbox showcase, and kind of, and there was also a Nintendo thing as well. So everybody kind of went. And, during the summer, a lot of people go on vacation or, they're just doing things, not doing as much gaming. So it's to be expected. I just feel like this year in particular, maybe I say this every year, but I just always hate this time of the year because I don't know, I'm somebody who's always on the lookout for like, the latest news, the latest updates, and just always kind of hoping that every week there's like something happening. And then sometimes there's just, you know, there's times like this where it's like, well, digital dude, you're taking it too far now. Taking it too far now. Capono says, I really thought Herman had something to prove out here. I mean, we'll see. We'll see. He's always on vacation, bro. maybe not anymore now that he's the CEO. Because that's the thing. Well, actually, you know what's interesting? And I just thought of this now. One of the reasons why Jim Ryan said he retired was because he kind of got exhausted, like from having to travel from Japan to America to the UK. I mean, his life sounded like hell. To be honest, that sounds like hell. Like every month he has to like travel. You spend 2 weeks in the US, a week in Japan, and then a week home. That sounds crazy. Dude is probably a zombie at that point. So I'm thinking if it's because he's older too. I bet you this is why they decided to do a joint CEO thing where like Hideaki Nishino is located in Japan and he lives there, so he's at Sony's Japan HQ, and then Herman, well, he's not. See, that's the thing. I guess Herman, I would assume one of these CEOs has to fly to America still to Sony's California headquarters. Maybe it's Herman doing that. But I do wonder if this is one of the reasons why they decided to go for a joint CEO situation. Yeah, Herman for US and Europe. Rich Rod, bro. You guys are crazy. You're saying you would be dying if you had to travel that much every month, and I'm in my early 40s. Yeah, I couldn't imagine. I mean, yeah, if you're younger, maybe it's easier to deal with, but even then, still, it's like the amount of jet lag probably just killing you. But anyway, guys, before we dive into this topic, just want to thank everybody for tuning in live, even though it's quite slow. Still appreciate you guys showing up. Also want to make sure I give a shout out to those of you who watch the stream later on. I know a lot of people can't catch these streams, especially the ones like kind of happening throughout the week. I know not everybody can catch the streams live, so if you're somebody who still tunes in and watches the entire stream, thank you guys so much for that. Hit that like button. We're sitting at 53 likes. Let's see if we can bump that up to 75. I want to just let you guys know how you can support. I'm sure most of you know this. Consider becoming a channel member, gain access to exclusive perks. Consider gifting memberships. Consider donating a super chat. All right. There's a fourth way. There's a direct donation link at the top of the chat as well. You can also leave a message. I'm sure you see people doing this where 100% of what you donate goes directly towards the content creator. And so, yeah, thank you guys so much for continuing to support the content, continuing to support the channel, even during a slow month like this. I just want to make sure that you understand I'm still very much appreciative of everything you guys do here. Yeah, Irfan, I did see that, and honestly, like I'm holding on to that topic for now because I don't know how slow the rest of the month's going to be, and if it's that slow. Like if I'm just preparing for the worst, I'm gonna need to kind of spread the topics out a little bit. You know what I mean? So, um, how is the Hawk Tuah girl more famous than MBG? Dude, I don't know what's going on with our society anymore. I'm not saying I should be famous, certainly not. But yeah, that's wild. Like, there's no reason. I don't know what's going on. I saw this quote from somebody, or it had to do with this, and they were just like, "We're living in the dumbest era. Like, this is the dumbest era. Like, we are living it right now." And I'm like, yes, yes, like that is true. That's absolutely true. I don't understand. Society's out of control, man. Yeah, it is. It is. It is a clown show out here. So just you know, I think there's this quote I heard one time. I'm probably gonna butcher it, which is ironic because I don't know if I'm remember it correctly, but it's basically it goes something like you know if it isn't your circus, then there's no reason for you to be part of it. You know, I think that's how it went. I'd have to look into it again, but it was a really good quote. Really good quote. And I feel like it's like very applicable these days. And basically what it just means is just, you don't have to be part of it. You don't have to. You know what? It also reminds me, you guys know the Keanu Reeves quote where I think it's a relatively recent quote from him where he was like, somebody had asked him like how he deals with, the problems of today and what's going on. And he just was like, I'm at that point in my life where if somebody comes up to me and says, 1+1 is 5, I'll just look at them and say, yeah, man, sure. Have fun. And I'm just like, yeah, I totally get that. I totally get that. And I feel like that is where we are, where it's just, there's so much like real insanity out there that, you either just take that approach where it's like, okay, yeah, you do you, man, and separate yourself from it, or you get roped into it. And you got to be careful, I think. You got to be careful because once you get roped into it, man, there you go. Yes, Irfan, thank you. Thank you. I knew I got it wrong. You're saying not my circus, not my monkeys. I was like, something's missing with this quote. There's something very essential missing, and that's what it is. Not my circus, not my monkeys. There you go. Absolutely. Thank you for that. Irfan's got my back here. Not my basement, not my mold. Ah, shit. All right. Well, let's dive into this topic, shall we? Let you guys know what's going on. I will also let everybody know there will be a video going out later on today as well. Look, I'm sure you guys have witnessed me go be all over the place with my scheduling. I don't know if I'm going to be able to stick to it. It we'll have to see, but I'm trying my best to get more videos out. Okay. Like I'm trying my best. I want to try to do that because I know that there are so many people who still want videos. I know that there are people who like watching the streams and videos, but there's definitely been too many times where I've been neglecting the video content, and I'm really trying to make that be more consistent. So just a heads up, there will be a video going out after this stream, but saying don't kill yourself to get it done. Family time is important too. Yeah, that's the thing. I will say this before we get into the topic. I always have like this ambition of like, I want to do this, and that. And the thing about my channel is I don't have any help. Well, except for Devil Shooter, which he's huge help. Devil Shooter is a lifesaver with the timestamps. But other than that, I don't really, I don't have much help. I run everything on my own. And I have to try to manage everything on my own. And it's like, sometimes it feels easier than other times. But something that I notice continually happens is I do end up burning the candle from both ends and not realizing it, where it's like I hit the ground running thinking like, all right, like this is it, like full throttle, and the energy will be there. But then it's like, okay, you're you wake up the next day or a couple days later, like, man, where'd that energy go? It's like, well, dude, you just spent it all, and you gotta. So it's hard, yeah. Work life balance. Not to say that this is like, you know, this to me this is like a dream come true type thing. I'm very thankful and grateful and humbled that I can actually do this. Um, but yeah, it comes with its own set of challenges, just like anything else. And I feel like I'm still learning. They say you're not truly a master of something. It takes 10 years to master something. I think that's what I heard. And if that's true, I'm still two and a half, 2.5 to 3 years away from mastering YouTube, right? And social media. So still got some time. No, MVG, increase your grind set by 1,000%. Sleep 1 hour, 5 a.m. wake up, cold showers. Oh my God. You want to talk about adrenal fatigue? Last night I had trouble sleeping. I hate that, dude. That's that's the worst feeling in the world. I think it's because I worked out late. I think I got to stop working out late. I think it like overstimulates my nervous system because it's just one of those nights where you're just laying there. You know what it is? A lot of times I'll start falling asleep on the couch with the TV playing. And that happens actually frequently. Me and Mrs. Emmy just end up like falling asleep on the couch. But you know, as I'm starting to doze off, it's like I'll get up and be like, oh, I gotta do the nightly rounds and then go to bed in the bed, right? And what I hate is I will like start to get like knocked out on the sofa, but then I'll get up and then I'll go lay down in bed and I wake up. I'm just like suddenly the energy's there. It's just like I can't sleep and I can't stand that because it's like I would have been better off just staying on the sofa and just literally sleeping on the sofa. I don't know if anybody has that issue as well, but that's something that I notice happens sometimes. Used to do the gym in the evenings and had terrible sleep insomnia. Yeah, when I was younger, I used to be able to work out late and it was just fine. But these days, man, I notice if I work out past 5 o'clock, especially if it's like around 6 or 7, I don't know what it is. Like my nerves are just shot. Like I can't. It seems like it takes like nearly like 8 hours for my body to like calm down. And these days, I just think I'm better off working out in the morning. Saying running your own business is hard. You need to recognize when to ease off to get a good work/life balance. Yeah, for sure. For sure. Well, we'll see what happens. I'll try my best to keep up, the content production, do as much as I can, but I do have to be careful not to burn myself because the problem with what I do here is the energy levels need to be here. I mean, I don't know. You guys, truthfully, those of you who are here right now, and a lot of people are probably still tuned in if I was just over here like, anyway, guys. So what's up with that Hulk Tua, huh? What's up with that? I feel like a lot of you guys would probably still just be here and be like, yeah. Yeah. All right. Let's get into the topic. I think some people lately who have been tuning in are like, I can't wait to hear this topic that MBG has to talk about. And then, like, it takes like an hour and a half for me to get to the topic. So we're 23 minutes in. 5 minutes of that was dedicated to the intro. So let's dive into it now. All right. So this report comes from MP First. Report. Potential concept art for new PlayStation action adventure game featuring intense violence surfaces. Now, look, before I continue any further, I'm going to post this link to this article in my chat so you guys can check it out with me. The reason being is I don't want to put this image on screen. Okay? This article has the image in it, the leaked concept art. I don't want to put this on screen because, I just don't want to take a chance. I'm sure it would be fine, but just in case, if Sony just decides they want to take it down, I don't want to have to worry about that. So click on that article, read along with me. I can't speak today. It says here, about 2 months ago in May, movies and games insider Daniel RPK shared intriguing details on his Patreon account. The report centered around a casting call for an upcoming PlayStation first-party title with Jamie Bafis, yeah, I guess that's how you say their name, Senior Manager of Casting and Talent at Sony PlayStation Studios Worldwide, listed as the casting director. The casting call was specifically for an action-adventure game that promised intense violence and profanity. While the exact title remains a mystery, the project was described as likely to receive an M for Mature rating. 2 roles were up for grabs: hair reference models for a salt and pepper gray-haired man between ages 40 and 60, or 40 and 60 years old, and a darker brunette woman between 20 and 60 years old. An interesting detail that not many people noticed were the attached images on the casting page. Although these images served as a reference for the characters, they cleverly concealed their faces. This is standard practice for hair references, but the interesting part comes when you notice that the characters' clothing were also hidden. Could this be an intentional move to keep the game's theme under wraps? Upon closer examination, the reference images reveal some details on the characters, such as the image of the woman, where you can see that her old age is evident from the wrinkles on her neck, while the image of the man portrays him with a bushy beard and curly hair. Now, if you're wondering which studio might be behind this project, we can't do much more than speculate. However, an interesting connection can be made. The casting call took place on May 21st. Just 2 days later, Neil Druckmann, creative director of acclaimed franchise The Last of Us, made a statement about Naughty Dog's new IP and how it could redefine mainstream perceptions of gaming. Given Naughty Dog's track record with intense and violent titles, could this casting call be linked to their next groundbreaking project? Only time will tell. We are digging deeper into this unannounced PlayStation action-adventure game, and once we know more, we will let our readers know. Now, I hope you guys are checking out this article with me right now. Are you guys looking at this concept art? Now, to me, this is very clearly, obviously, Naughty Dog concept art. I say this because, especially with the female, it looks just like previous concept art of characters we've seen. Like previous concept art of characters from past games. This looks just like it. Now, they did cut their faces out, so, that's the most important part missing, and we can't see their clothes. Although, if I had to, what's interesting about the woman's clothes, it almost, I don't know, just based off of the outline here, it almost looks like she could be wearing like a suit jacket or something. But maybe that's, I don't know, maybe it's not that at all. It could, again, it's hard to tell because of the way it's kind of covered. And the guy, I mean, you can barely see his clothing. He looks like maybe he could just be wearing a t-shirt or a tank top or something. Saying, man, this looks like Joel. It kind of does, yeah. I will say, it kind of does. That's what's weird. Like you look at the outline of this character, the hair, the beard, it does look like Joel. But I don't think we're like, all right, look, first off, let me take a step back. We don't know which studio this is attached to, but to me, there are too many signs that point to this being attached to Naughty Dog. Number one, action adventure. So, yeah, Naughty Dog falls into that category, but the giveaway is not just action adventure. Also, we're talking about intense violence and intense profanity. Saying MBG, this article also has a Bioshock 4 leak screenshot link. Oh, interesting. I didn't even know about that. So, yeah, action adventure, that fits Naughty Dog. Intense violence. The thing that really gets me is the intense violence, okay? If you think about The Last of Us Part 2, The Last of Us Part 2 featured unbelievably intense violence. So, there you go. There's more evidence, profanity. But I do like how they point out here that just a couple days after the casting call, that's when we hear from Neil Druckmann, where he specifically talks about a new game. Now, it's worth noting that Naughty Dog has already confirmed explicitly multiple times they are working on multiple single player projects. And they have also made it clear that at least one of these projects is a new IP. So, what I'm gathering from this is that this is our first look, if you will, at this new Naughty Dog IP. And it's unfortunate that we can't extract more from it here. I want to just shift gears for a second and, like, okay, what if it's not a new IP? What if what we're looking at is The Last of Us Part 3? The reason why I say this is because, well, what are the chances that Naughty Dog's new IP is also going to have a high level of intense violence, just like The Last of Us? I mean, that's where, to me, things get a little bit murky here, because it's like, well, you would assume, maybe, well, maybe not assume, but you could connect the dots where it's like, okay, they worked for the last like decade and a half on The Last of Us and The Last of Us Part 2, and obviously Uncharted was in there, but mostly The Last of Us. And The Last of Us is a hyper-violent game, a hyper-violent series. You could kind of see how with a new IP, they might want to really, not, like, I think there's going to be violence, I think there's going to be action, of course, but you could see how maybe they would want to lean a little bit more into a different direction, maybe something more similar to Uncharted, in the sense that Uncharted has violence, Uncharted has killing and stuff like that, but it's nowhere near on the level of The Last of Us. In The Last of Us, especially the sequel, you could do some crazy stuff in that game. So I almost wonder if there's a possibility that we are looking at The Last of Us Part 2 here. There's another reason I'm saying this. The thing that's interesting is this entire description could fit The Last of Us. Action, adventure, intense violence, and profanity. All of that sounds like Last of Us. But the fact that this is a casting call. Now, look, I'm not too familiar with, I don't know exactly the order in which game development happens. But what I would surmise here is that if they're doing a casting call right now, that means whatever project this is very far out. Because it means that they haven't even cast the actors into the roles. They haven't filmed anything or captured anything. They haven't recorded any lines. They haven't done any motion cap. They haven't done anything. They just have basically the outline of the game. Gameplay wise, they could be pretty far along in terms of just like gameplay development. But it seems to me like this game is very far out. And this is what leads me to think that, guys, we might be looking at the first evidence of The Last of Us Part 3. Because let's think about what Naughty Dog and Neil Druckmann have said. Yeah, it's Blue Box's game. Oh, shit. Could be a spin-off game. Could be that, too. Absolutely. But if we think about what Naughty Dog has revealed about their new games, here's what we know. 2 games, both single-player, one's new IP. Where does The Last of Us Part 3 fall in this? Well, Neil Druckmann has confirmed relatively recently that for a long time he wasn't sure what the concept of The Last of Us Part 3 would be. And then very recently he said he finally discovered what the concept of The Last of Us Part 3 would be. Not saying that that's their next game. He didn't say that. He just said that he now knows. And if I'm not mistaken, he also in the past kind of hinted at having like a story outline as well. So I'm starting to think that what we're looking at is very, very early kind of movement behind the scenes of what will eventually become The Last of Us Part 3 for PlayStation 6. And if this is true, if I'm correct about this, then this seems to indicate that this new IP they've been working on is going to come before that. At least you would assume, right? You think it's something brand new? Yeah, I mean that's the thing that gets me here is when I'm looking at this concept art, because I'm looking at it again here. I mean, both of these characters are, it says a white female, white male. The female's clearly older. The male looks, I mean, the male doesn't necessarily look young. You look at the facial hair, it's in black and white, which is interesting. I don't know if that was another thing they did intentionally. It does seem like if I'm looking at the hair that this male would have like gray, a little bit of gray hair. So two older characters. Um I mean, I'm looking at this concept art of this woman, and it's like, could we be looking at the earliest concept art of an older Ellie? I mean, that's where I get hung. I'm going to say probably not, because if you look at this concept art, her hair does not look like Ellie's hair. Ellie has straight hair, and this woman in the photo or in this concept art has curly hair. Um, so it's really hard to tell. You're saying is Naughty Dog skipping, or you're asking is Naughty Dog skipping the PS5? I hope not. I could be completely wrong about this, but I would say we're we're going to get you know, the new IP before before we get a Last of Us Part 3. That's what I think. I think that this new IP from Naughty Dog has been in development for a little while. See, here's the thing. I think it's important to understand, or my take on this anyway. This is how I understand it, is what I should say. During the time that The Last of Us multiplayer was in development, I don't I don't think the entirety of Naughty Dog was working on it. Like, I think there was a huge chunk, because Naughty Dog's a massive team, dude. They're massive. They have hundreds of developers there. I think that they had an entire team that whole time working on something new. And I think the idea was they're going to ship The Last of Us The Last of Us multiplayer. After they ship The Last of Us multiplayer, the team that was working on The Last of Us multiplayer will reintegrate with the main core Naughty Dog team that's working on a new IP. And that's where I think maybe things got messed up, is they kind of realized like, oh wait, shit. If we ship this, we can't just take that team back. They have to stay on that to support it. Saying, oh my God, that's Ellie and JJ. Jesse Jr. or Joel Jr. or Jesse Joel. Ellie and JJ. My God, man. No way. Why is that so funny? It's JJ. Yeah, B. Flesher, we talked about this all yesterday, about the PS5 Pro. We're looking at Concord too. Yeah, but I do think that no matter what, I think that this is Naughty Dog's game. And the thing that I can't quite figure out, I mean, you're saying it could be a spin-off game. I could have swore Neil Druckmann confirmed it's a new IP. I could have swore we had confirmation of that. Naughty Dog's new title is indeed a new IP, as hinted by Neil Druckmann in a new interview. Neil Druckmann says many companies would insist on sticking to profitable franchises, but SIE's culture and philosophy empower us to pursue new ideas. Art requires risk. I'm incredibly thankful that SIE trusts us to leverage our past successes to explore brand new creative avenues. Um, Naughty Dog's next project is not The Last of Us Part 3, as currently The Last of Us Part 3 is only at a concept level. But Neil Druckmann did confirm there is one more chapter to the story. That was from April 2023. Naughty Dog Rumor says the game is a new IP. Yeah, I mean, all signs are pointing towards the next thing we get from Naughty Dog being a new IP. Naughty Dog's next game is really ambitious. Yeah, I mean, dude, if you look at this and it's scattered throughout the past 2.5 to 3 years, everything says that they're doing a new IP first. Like The Last of Us 3 is coming, but not this generation or not anytime soon. It's going to be a new game first. Maybe we could see Naughty Dog close out this generation with their new IP. And then the first couple years of the PlayStation 6 is when we'll see them announce and release The Last of Us Part 3. Maybe like mid PS6. My God, could you imagine what The Last of Us Part 3 would look like on PlayStation 6? Jesus. Ragu Bagu, member for 10 months, says that concept art for the Last of Us Online menu was debunked and was badly photoshopped. Just finished watching a stream from yesterday. Was it? I had no idea. I didn't know that. I mean, yeah, I guess I didn't look close enough at it to debunk it myself. Maybe I just wanted it to be real. But I appreciate you letting me know. Neil lied about everything before The Last of Us 2 released. Guys, where can I find this leak and concept art? Here, I'm going to post the link. You can find it here. I just post the link in the chat. So the thing about this, though, is that let's say this is a new IP. Let's say it's not The Last of Us, but it's a new IP, and they're going to lean, into violence again with new characters. The thing that really eludes us with this leak is like there's zero hints at like the theme of this game. I mean, we can just look at their hair, but I don't even think we could really take much from that. So if it's not The Last of Us and it is a new IP, I mean, we could be looking at a fantasy game with a lot of violence. We could be looking at a sci-fi game with a lot of violence. This game is probably going to be a PS6 Pro launch title. Oh, man. That hair looks like they have another post-apocalyptic game with no hairdressers, LOL. I mean, yeah, that's maybe the one thing we could gather from it is their hair. I don't know, though. Like, it doesn't look, their hair doesn't. I mean, the guy's hair looks pretty unkempt. The woman's, I don't know. It feels like there's so much mystery surrounding this. God, please let it be a fantasy game. Well, we got to be getting close to a Naughty Dog reveal, right? Right? Like it's going on too long. Does this hint that you can pick female or male? Oh, yeah, it's interesting. Well, that's the thing too. Is like we don't even know these two characters that they're doing the casting call for. We don't even know. Like, are they the protagonists? Are they the antagonists? Could they just be side characters? Naughty Dog's next game is truly shrouded in mystery and a body type A or B. Oh, now that's interesting. That's interesting. You could maybe create a custom character. I don't know. It's hard to imagine that with Naughty Dog's next game. I don't think they would do that. You're saying it will be one of the last games of this generation, no matter what. Well, here's the thing. Um, People have been saying for a while now. They're like, well, Naughty Dog. We're not going to see a game from them this generation because they haven't even announced another game yet. And we know that when they announce their next game, we're still going to have to wait like 3 or 4 years. Not necessarily. I think people need to be reminded, or at least some people should be reminded, that Sony has seemingly changed the way that their studios reveal games. The whole idea is when Naughty Dog reveals their new game, like let's say Naughty Dog reveals their new game May 2025. Let's just say next year in May, there's a showcase, and that's where Naughty Dog's new game shows up. There's a good chance, a very high chance, that that game will be ready to launch in holiday of 2026, a year and a half later. There's a very good chance. This is something that we've talked about extensively, where something PlayStation Studios have requested is to not reveal their game until they're much, much closer to launch, until they are pretty damn sure that whatever date they aim for, they're going to hit. And I would imagine it also gives them a little bit more leeway, and how they can, what they want to show, what they can show, because the game will practically be finished, so they can kind of pick and choose. I mean, it's not to say that they didn't pick and choose previously when they would show like their vertical slices, but they would have to I guess it would create a disorganized development environment where it's like, okay, this is, we have to just focus on this part of the game. This earlier section, we're going to stop working on that. We just have to work on this and get it to 100%. Boss has just discovered the bandana on the floor and he thinks it's like a snake or something. Imagine we get a Bloodborne remake announcement, a September showcase. Where's Luna? She's actually sleeping on my chair over there. But the craziest thing to me about Naughty Dog right now is that, dude, Naughty Dog hasn't revealed a brand new game since 2016. I mean, they revealed Uncharted: The Lost Legacy and released that in 2017, but there's Uncharted: The Lost Legacy, The Last of Us Part 1, The Last of Us Part 2 remastered. That's all we've gotten from Naughty Dog since they shipped. Not since they shipped, since they announced, not shipped, because they shipped Part 2 in 2020, but since they announced The Last of Us Part 2. So the last brand new game announcement we got from Naughty Dog was The Last of Us Part 2 in 2016 at PlayStation Experience. So I really, really do feel like I don't want to say that we're going to get that announcement this year. I don't know that I'm confident in that, but I want to say in the next year and a half. The next year and a half, I think we have to see an announcement from them, right? But I do think that this game we're looking at might not be part of it. Let's look at it the other way though. Let's take worst case scenario approach. Let's say Naughty Dog really did get fucked up this generation. Let's say the Last of Us multiplayer game that they were working on really did prevent them from making anything new. And they're just now getting started. If that is the case, then yes, unfortunately, we are not going to see anything new from Naughty Dog this generation, which would absolutely suck. Because it would confirm that, man, the studio was completely mismanaged to the most detrimental degree. But I would find that hard to believe. I would find it hard to believe that all 400 Naughty Dog developers were working on The Last of Us multiplayer. That doesn't make sense to me. William, you're saying Naughty Dog has a separate studio working on another game that is almost ready to show. That's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm thinking as well. In fact, they were probably working on 2 games this whole time. I just think that maybe development, you know, I almost wonder if the way Naughty Dog was approaching it, where it's like, all right, we're going to have this, the Last of Us team is going to work on the Last of Us multiplayer. And we have a new team that's been working on a new game. And when that new game ships, or when it's getting closer to being ready, the Last of Us multiplayer will ship, and then we'll reveal this new game. And then the Last of Us team will work on the Last of Us Part 3. I wonder if that's what went down. Sony has done a lot of things that are hard to believe this gen. Yeah. I mean, this generation has truly been strange. And you know what's sad about that for me is that, like, this is the first console generation where I'm doing this, right? Like, I was here for a portion of the PS4 generation, but I didn't really, the PS5 was the first console generation and console launch that I was like on YouTube doing videos and doing streams and like being a part of that. And it just so happens that it was it's like the strangest console generation of all time, or one of the strangest. Makes me wonder what the PlayStation 6 generation is going to be like. Capono, Neil Druckmann only directed 1 episode of season 2 for The Last of Us. So, I'm sure he was like involved with the making of it for sure. But, it almost makes me think that, you know what? What if Neil isn't directing this new game? What if Neil has been, concepting The Last of Us Part 3 and working on the HBO show, and this whole time somebody else has been appointed as director for a new, this new IP, and maybe Neil is kind of like a producer or something, or if not a producer, like a I don't know, just kind of like overseeing it a little bit. Saying just a shout out that I've been here since before your face reveal. Good stuff, man. Yeah, I do wonder how people would respond to a new IP not directed by Neil Druckmann. It's Neil's game according to his ex bio. Oh yeah, you know what? I don't follow Neil on Twitter. Let me see. Let me go to his Twitter now. Studio head of creative Naughty Dog, executive producer of The Last of Us, writer/director, unannounced game. Okay. All right. Well, scratch that then. I'm looking here back in May 24th, where Neil Druckmann had to put out his full quote because Sony misquoted him. Absolutely nuts. Can't believe that actually happened. Both Santa Monica and Naughty Dog have separate studios working on new games that haven't been revealed yet. I suspect that both will be revealed at this September showcase. That'd be awesome. Yeah, I would assume that the way Sony is trying to handle their big powerhouse studios is to constantly have a rotation where one team is, they're just kind of like bouncing off of one another. Where you think like God of War Ragnarok, the God of War team, right? The dedicated God of War team shipped a game in 2022. And now there's a second team that's working on a new game that has been working on a new game since before Ragnarok shipped that will likely be ready by the, I don't want to say the end of this generation, but sometime during the second half of this generation. And so what that will ensure is that the main, the not the main, but the team that's working on God of War, they don't have to worry about releasing another God of War until next generation. So it gives them plenty of time. And then once they reveal that and they go through the cycle of that and they release that, that whole time, basically had that kind of cycle. It makes a lot of sense. It seems like a good balance. But yeah, I'm really curious. Oh, excuse me. I'm really curious to see what Naughty Dog's new game ends up being because I'm pretty sure that this cutout concept art and this info we're getting, action adventure, hyper violent, I'm pretty sure we are looking at the next Naughty Dog game here. But I know people are getting exhausted with this stuff, right? Because it's like, man, we just want Sony to show this stuff, and I get it. But this is what we got for now. Naughty Dog is a very big studio, 400 plus, and they have multiple teams. I think that their new game will be in either 2027 or 2028, just like what they did with The Last of Us. Yeah, maybe Naughty Dog will be the one to send off this generation with a new game, a new IP. That'd be really cool. I mean, Sony did that with Ghost of Tsushima. Sony ended the PS4 generation with a massive new IP. That'd be a great way to send off the PS5 gen. Project Awakening will also probably be at the next showcase. Yeah, where is that game? It's been forever since we've seen that game. One in the limelight at a time. Yeah, that's another thing. I don't know that Sony would reveal multiple new IPs at one show. I don't know that they would need to. I mean, I guess they really could. It's not unheard of. They've definitely done it before. You would love to see a new Naughty Dog IP for Savage Starlight, the space-based game. I mean, yeah, like it'd be the craziest spin-off ever. Neil has said that they want to reveal their games closer to release. Yep. Yep. We have Captain Hook here. Remember for 7 months says would love to see a medieval fantasy game by Naughty Dog with their melee combat system. Swordplay would be everything. Yeah, that's something I've talked about before as well. Where if you watch the making of The Last of Us Part 2, Grounded 2, they spent a good portion of that documentary basically talking about how inspired they were by Bloodborne when making The Last of Us Part 2, but also with, you know, kind of talking about their inspiration with Elden Ring, which is interesting because Elden Ring came out after The Last of Us Part 2, but that was kind of, well, actually, I don't know that Elden Ring was mentioned in the documentary. I think it was. I know that Neil Druckmann talked about being inspired or feeling inspired after playing Elden Ring or seeing Elden Ring. And so there's just this heavy, heavy inspiration from software. And it's interesting because in that Grounded documentary, they also said that an early concept they tried to build with The Last of Us Part 2 was melee only, no firearms. But it just didn't work out. And it makes me wonder, like, if they are going in that direction. I don't know that it would necessarily be medieval, but it could be. It could be. You think of something that would justify purely melee-based combat. Maybe you have like a bow and arrow. That'd be really cool. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know what Naughty Dog's gonna do next, but I'm more excited about the new IP than The Last of Us Part 3. Like a lot more. All of my faith and hope in the future of Naughty Dog, frankly, lies in their new IP. To be honest, I know this is going to sound crazy to some people, but The thing, whenever we do get The Last of Us Part 3, the only thing I'm probably going to care about more than anything is the multiplayer. I know that sounds nuts, but after everything that has happened, I'm going to be asking Neil, Naughty Dog, you're giving us multiplayer this time, right? Right? Like, of course, I'll see what they do with the story, and what else they do with Ellie and her, you know, her final chapter. But I'm much more interested. I'm going to be much more interested in, like, guys, you made a whole multiplayer game that you canceled. Like, what are you doing with Factions 2 here? And I don't think I'm the only one that feels that way. You think Naughty Dog's gameplay loop is tired and old? I mean, I do imagine that they're going to need to innovate a little bit, They're going to have to do some level of innovation. William, you're saying MBG Side Games was waiting for Grand Blue Fantasy Relink to be released. Now that it is, they can focus on Project Awakening. Oh, I didn't realize that they were the same. Okay. I didn't know that. That actually makes a lot of sense. Yeah, that game looks like it has a ton of potential. Project Awakening. I mean, we've only seen like one look at it, and it almost does seem like it was mostly concept footage. So who knows how it'll actually turn out, but you have a few friends who weren't feeling them canceling Factions, kind of disappointed. Yeah. I think the best thing that Naughty Dog could do is when they do eventually make The Last of Us Part 3, ship it with a proper Factions 2. And you don't have to make it a full-blown live service. Just make it something you support moderately. Like occasionally there's going to be some updates. Occasionally, maybe a couple maps and weapons. Have a few microtransactions. It just be almost like a live service light. Because if you look at Factions 1, that's basically what it was. Factions 1 was basically a live service light situation. But I don't know. I mean, maybe just give it a time frame, like 1 year of support, 2 years of support, just something like that, where it's like a hard cutoff, and then they're no longer obligated to support it, and people can just play. You're saying that would be enough. MBG agreed entirely. Yeah, I think honestly, I think the way Sony used to do it with their add-on multiplayer experiences wasn't bad. I mean, the only real bad thing about it was when the teams moved on, the games did get neglected. No new updates and stuff like that. But still, man, just what's crazy talking about Sony's multiplayer? I saw a post earlier on Twitter, and it was somebody showing raw Killzone 2 multiplayer gameplay. And they were like, dude, Sony, please just remake Killzone 2, or just remake this and make this a multiplayer game. And it was fucking nuts. Like, they're like, please do that instead of what you're doing with Concord and stuff like that. And I can't believe how well Killzone 2 holds up. I was looking at it, I'm like, that looks good, man. I don't know how it looks that good. I don't know if it was like on PC or something, like it was being like emulated or whatever, but it looks good. I'm like, Sony should absolutely do this. Like, it's nuts to me that Sony made this in the past, and they look at it now and they're like, let's get on that Concord hype train. But maybe they'll come back to it. Killzone Shadowfall spits in all the first-person shooters graphically, or spits on them. Yeah, Killzone Shadowfall still holds up. What was crazy, though, was like, dude, that was Killzone 2 gameplay, and it still held up. I'm like, damn, dude. Killzone 2? Still looking good? But yeah, Shadowfall was insanely good looking when it dropped. Dan, you're saying it didn't sell. Time to get over it. I don't know. I think collectively they sold decently. But I wonder if Guerrilla will ever go back to a first-person shooter. Probably not. MBG, look up raw Warhawk gameplay. I've seen that too, man. Warhawk is what an interesting game. What an interesting game. I feel like you would never see something like Warhawk today from Sony ever. Like not even anything remotely like it. Feral Flame with the $2 chat says Killzone, SOCOM, Resistance, Mag remasters, please. Yeah. That's another funny thing, dude, is that like people are like, Sony, you're remastering too many games, but you're also neglecting certain games that people would love to see remastered. I think a lot of PlayStation fans would lose it if any of those games got remastered. I don't think Mag would get remastered, though. I think Killzone, SOCOM. Killzone's probably one of the most likely. Maybe SOCOM. Sitting on gold mines. Yeah, maybe they just think, hey, we'll just save it for the PS6. You do want SOCOM, though? Yeah. Shadowfall sold 2 million copies. That's actually good. I mean, I guess that's not necessarily comparable to the Horizon, but that's still good. Planet Schlurping, you're saying No Man's Sky is amazing after the new update. Yeah, I've been hearing about that. I haven't played No Man's Sky, but I did see a lot of people basically saying that this new update like is amazing. What did it add? What did it change? It's crazy to see that No Man's Sky is still going so strong. That game was like a disaster at launch. No Man's Sky is proof, though, man. Proof that you can really fuck up in the beginning, but if you put your nose to the grindstone, you correct your mistakes, you deliver the goods, and then you go above and beyond that afterwards. Total and complete flip. Comeback. Yeah, Cyberpunk as well. Jason Blundell's game would make sense to be Mag. Oh, that would be so... Dude, how funny would that be? Yeah, Jason Blundell and this new PlayStation studio, they're making Mag. Mag 2. If Herman has the final say, we'll be at Horizon 12 by the end of the PS6. No, I mean, I've been talking a lot about Concord recently, but one of the things I've been saying about Concord is I want to know who's truly responsible for it being attached to PlayStation Studios. I mean, I do think Herman Holst obviously plays a role in that, but how much of a role, you know? We always have to keep in mind that there's likely more that goes into these decisions to buy studios than we realize. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if Sony was completely prepared for this game to fail and to flop. And maybe that's not why they bought them. Because one of the things I do remember, Herman Hulse specifically saying about Firewalk Studios is he was, and it was in an interview from a couple years back when he was like, we didn't know that it was Concord that they were making. But he said one of the things that he was most impressed with is how quickly they were able to, and efficiently they were able to get their game, like to hit milestones. And I could see from Herman Hulse's point of view how it's like putting the game itself aside. Because I've talked to you about how like Concord has decent bones or even good bones where it's like, like it functions. I don't think the shooty shoot part of that game or the movement of that game, I don't think those are the problems with the game. So it tells me that this team has talent. You know, they are efficient. They know how to put a game together. And I almost wonder if all of this is just like, again, man, it's more about we just wanted to make sure to secure the talent, the development talent. And obviously, hopefully Concord can be a hit, but if it's not, well, you know what? We have the talent, and that does make sense, you know, because people have been asking me like, do you think Sony's going to shut the studio down? And the more I think about it, the more I'm like, I don't think so. I think what Sony would do is because let's not forget that if Concord does flop, and it's just like let's say it gets updates for a year, and then they're like, we're pulling the plug on Concord, and the studio never shuts down. They're What that means is they're going to have to pitch a new game to Sony. And Sony is going to have to evaluate that pitch based off of what Concord did. So if Concord failed, essentially what Sony is going to be looking for is you guys are going to have to go in a completely different direction. It could still be a first person shooter, it could still be a game that has some of those mechanics, but you're going to have to go in a different direction. And I really do wonder if that's essentially what Sony, that's what they paid for. You know, I don't know. It's really really difficult to determine. These are questions that only Herman Hulst and people who work for Sony know the answers to. But a lot of people will tell you that Concord, I mean, it's not perfect, you know? Like you could tell it's their first game, but I can honestly say like I have played worse, truthfully. For as much as I don't like Concord and I am convinced it's going to flop, I have played worse. But you could tell that there are veteran devs that know how to put a game together relatively quickly. Because it's worth noting, I think this game began development in like 2019 or something. So, you know, it took time, but I don't know. We'll see. It's all just speculation. I have no idea what the future of the studio is, but what I do know is that Sony has quite a bit of first-person shooter talent now. That I do know. Firewalk is mostly previous Bungie, Halo, and devs that worked on Apex Legends, stuff like that. And I think you could tell they have Bungie, so we'll see. We'll see what ends up happening with them. Saying you really don't understand the hate for Concord. Well, the truth is, I think the hate is dying down, and I think the harsh reality for Concord is it's not going to get much more hate. Not, I mean, I know it says how is that harsh? I think Concord's going to suffer a fate of apathy. Yeah, it's just it's death by apathy. You know, where this game has one more chance to make a splash. Like this game is gonna come out on August 23rd, and that's the last time, dude. That's the last chance for this game. Because what I think is gonna happen is, assuming nothing changes, the game still comes out for $40. What I think is going to happen is people are gonna talk about it for like 3 days, and then they're gonna move on. And then they're gonna start talking about other things, and literally no one's gonna talk about Concord ever again. That's what I think is going to happen in that game. I think that there will still be some people playing it. I think you will still get announcements from Sony occasionally with some 194 players on Steam right now. Jesus. Is the beta still up? I thought it ended. Oh my God. Saying Concord will be brought up just like how Redfall. Well, I mean, yeah, it'll be brought up as a it did end. Okay. Why is there 194 people in there then? I think Concord in the future will be brought up, yeah, as like a weapon, but I guess I just mean like it's not going to be a relevant game at all, and I think it's just going to fade, and we'll see what happens after that. Hicksock is saying Concord cannot be saved. Public opinion is like a stone nowadays. Hate bandwagons are too strong. It's done. Even when I told everyone Forspoken is great, I only got attacked by those who didn't play it. Yeah, I mean, it's true. the hate bandwagon. I mean, you could say I was part of it, but I don't know. I have my reasons for being frustrated with Concord. I'm just at a point where, you know, I will likely have to cover Concord at least one more time in depth, and that will be when it launches with the reviews and talk about, what's going on there. But after that, I don't know, man. Yeah, I just want to see Sony move on and do some more exciting shit. It's not to say that everything Sony's done has been disappointing. Certainly not. But I'm just a completely broken record at this point. I'm a completely broken record. You know, um, I'm looking forward to the end of this year, the rest of this year. Plenty of games to play. PS5 Pro should be cool, but I just need Sony to come out and fucking, you know, jumpstart the fan base, man, because the lack of excitement is, uh, I mean, it's really like, I don't know. Is it the calm before the storm? Is it I don't know. What is it? Is it just hopium? What do you mean? We have Astro. We're excited. No, I know. I know. I'm excited for Astro too. I just mean like I don't believe Astro is enough to carry the entirety of PlayStation. He's pretty strong, I think. Astro's pretty strong. Without Astro, PlayStation would be on the ropes this holiday, bro. Like the PlayStation would be on the ropes as far as I'm concerned for the second half of this year without Astro. Silent Hill 2, it's awesome. It's not Sony's game, but that's still good. But yeah, dude, Astro is doing the heavy lifting for Sony for the rest of the year, as far as I'm concerned. And I just hope that there's backup, because I don't think Astro's little legs can hold it up for that long, man. Chris Brown, you're saying, did you talk about the FTC taking shots at Microsoft? Actually, that is the bonus topic I have. So check this out. Article from PlayStation Lifestyle. The U.S. Federal Trade Commission, or the FTC, has blasted the Game Pass price hike in a new letter arguing against Microsoft's purchase of Activision Blizzard. The FTC's appeal against the merger is pending before the Court of Appeals for the Ninth Circuit, where the authority is attempting to make the case that Microsoft's consolidation activity harms consumers. In its letter via The Verge, the FTC argues that Microsoft has, quote, degraded Game Pass by squeezing more money out of existing customers and introducing an inferior tier that doesn't offer the day one releases it always promised. The authority sees this as evidence of Microsoft exercising its post-merger market power unchecked. The FTC highlighted the mass layoffs at Xbox, many of which impacted Activision Blizzard. Microsoft's price increases and product degradation, combined with Microsoft's reduced investments in output and quality via employee layoffs, are the hallmarks of a firm exercising market power post-merger, FTC wrote. Microsoft's price increases coincide with adding Call of Duty Black Ops 6 to Game Pass's most expensive tier and discontinuing the console tier that will happen shortly before releasing Call of Duty's newest game. Microsoft had previously promised that all Game Pass users will be able to play Black Ops 6 at launch. Now, there's another article here from BGC that says Microsoft has responded to the Federal Trade Commission's claim that its recently announced Game Pass price increase are harming consumers following the completion of the ABK deal. In a court filing made earlier this week as part of its appeal against the $69 billion acquisition, the FTC highlighted Microsoft's new Game Pass tiers, which include a price increase for Ultimate and a new standard tier that doesn't include day one releases. It claimed the price increases were exactly the sort of consumer harm it tried to stop by fighting the company's acquisition of ABK. It also labeled the standard new Game Pass tier, which removes day one releases, as degraded. Responding to the FTC in its own filings on Friday, Microsoft says it's wrong to call its offerings degraded, since the standard tier is allegedly replacing the Game Pass for console offering, which did not include online multiplayer. Earlier this month, Microsoft announced changes to its gaming subscription services. We already talked about that. It's wrong to call this a degraded version of the discontinued Game Pass for console offering. That discontinued product did not offer multiplayer functionality, which had to be purchased separately for an additional $10 a month, making the total cost $20 a month. While Game Pass Ultimate's price will increase from $17 to $20 a month, the service will offer more value through many new games available day and date. Among them is the upcoming Call of Duty, which has never been available on a subscription day and date. Microsoft goes on to claim that the FTC is trying to shift focus to the subscription market now that Microsoft has alleviated regulator fears it would make Call of Duty exclusive to Xbox, and claim that it is common for businesses to change service offerings over time. The FTC barely mentioned subscription at trial, instead focusing on the theory that Microsoft would withhold Call of Duty from Sony's console. The letter continues. The district court correctly rejected that theory, which is now further eroded by Microsoft and Sony's 10-year agreement to keep Call of Duty on PlayStation, a contract Sony was thrilled to enter. While the FTC has now tried to shift focus to its alleged subscriptions market, its letter does not map onto its arguments below. Setting aside that it is common for businesses to change their service offerings over time, the FTC case in all of its alleged markets has always been premised on vertical foreclosure, that Microsoft would withhold Call of Duty from rivals and therefore harm competition. But even in the alleged subscription market, Call of Duty is not being withheld from anyone who wants it, and there remains no evidence anywhere of harm to competition. Sony's subscription service continues to thrive even as they put few new games into their subscription day and date, unlike Microsoft. The transaction thus far continues to benefit competition and consumers, exactly what the district court correctly found. So that was a lot to read there, but yeah, this is what's going on with Microsoft and the FTC still. And I mean, there's like, it's kind of a double-edged sword here in a way where on one side, it's true. Like Microsoft is not incorrect that it is common business practice. Like they're not the only ones raising their prices. And that's true. And, to make it seem like they're the only ones doing that would be unfair and false. But on the other side of it, it is like, yeah, Microsoft, you are the only one, buying massive publishers and also increasing your prices. So it's like this layer added to it that Microsoft has to deal with. So I guess what I'm trying to say is the heat Microsoft is getting is warranted because, well, I mean, when you spend $70 billion on a publisher and raise your prices, you're going to get more eyes on you and you're going to get more heat on you than the company that, doesn't buy a publisher and doesn't, a price raise. I know that sounds counterintuitive to some people. Like, wait, wouldn't that make it so that actually it makes more sense for Microsoft to do that? Yes and no. Yes, in that, well, okay, to offset the cost of this, we're going to have to raise the price, right? And we're going to offer you more. And that's the whole thing. Like, that's the whole argument that Microsoft is making, that we're still offering something that nobody else is. That, even Sony with PS Plus is an offering. And that is, we are putting Call of Duty into a subscription service, which has never been done. So it's like, yeah, if you're the FTC and you're trying to argue against it, like you're going to have a hard time. Especially because Sony did raise their price of PlayStation Plus last year. And Sony can't say that. Sony can't say that we're offering Call of Duty into our subscription, so that justifies it. Sony can't say that we're putting our games day one. So even though it is true that Microsoft basically, you could say that they made Game Pass a little bit messier, a little bit more disorganized, and a little bit less appealing overall than it was previously, you still can't say that it's worse than what's currently out there, or that it's unfair. That's just the truth of it. You just can't do it, Like if you're somebody who's like, well, for $20 I get Black Ops 6, and I think Modern Warfare 3 just got announced for Game Pass, and I get, all their other games day one. Yeah, like it's going to be really difficult to be able to like turn to Microsoft and be, you're bad for that, you know? Because, like, in the eyes of a lot of consumers, they're going to be like, no, I think that's good, you know? So I think it's just more along the lines of it's clear that there's this fear that Microsoft eventually is going to twist the knife, that eventually Microsoft is going to, the smile is going to be gone and it's going to be, oh shit, okay. Now they're going to rule with an iron fist. Um, I don't know. That's corporate for you. I don't know. William, you're saying, I don't believe that the new co-CEOs would go an entire year without doing a showcase to show the dawn of a new era. They also can't go into 2025 without telling shareholders what games are coming. No, I know. I agree with you, William. I'm just trying to brace myself for the reality that somehow, some way, nothing consequential is going to happen this year. That the most consequential thing that happens is here's a PS5 Pro, and we don't really have much for it, so please buy it. I don't know. I'm not trying to be such a downer. It's just, right now the sugar crash is kicking in. I'm not gonna lie. Holy shit, it's kicking in. So if I seem really down, I'm actually not. I'm just the sugar crash, bro. Now I agree. Like they got to do something. I want to see what is the Holshino, what is the Holshino era of PlayStation? What does that look like? We know what Ryanthology looked like. What does Holshino look like? How different is it? How much better is it? And what you mentioned about the shareholders is true. Yeah. Um, to me, the biggest red flag is there are no 2025 games. That's the biggest red flag. There are no 2025 games. There's nothing for January. There's nothing for February. There's nothing for March. There's nothing for April. There's nothing for May. There's nothing for June. The first 6 months of next year, Sony, as of right now, has 0 games set to release. I also agree that it's impossible that they don't do something before the end of this year to lay that out. Please don't hype up the next showcase. I'm probably gonna hype it up. I'm gonna do it to my detriment. Saying, "Damn, that sounds bad when you hear it out loud." I know, right? I know, like that's the reality, and that's why I agree with what William's saying here. He's like, "There's no way they can just withhold, that information." It's like, yeah, dude. Even like Sony would have to literally come out and tell their shareholders, like, we don't have anything to release for the next 6 months. They would have to, like, it would be obligatory for them to do that. And they haven't done that. So it just tells me that it's all about the timing. We have a Hickzock saying, I'm buying Astro, but let's not lie to each other. 3 days later, we will be done with the game. And what then? I want short single player games, but not so rarely. I don't know. Maybe 3 days sounds like a bit too quick for me. I think I'll be at least spending, at least a couple weeks, at least 2 weeks, at least. I guess it depends on how you play games, but yeah, I get what you're saying, Hickzock. 12 hours to complete the game, 4 hours each evening. We'll see. We'll see. If you're trying to get the platinum, yeah, maybe it'll extend the time. But I know what you mean. It is going to be a shorter game. Joshua Reese, member for 8 months, says, I hope Sony don't do an Xbox play every generation of PlayStation games with 60 FPS and 4K on the PS5 Pro. Yay. I don't know, man. I don't know. The quieter things get, and the more time that goes by as things remain quiet, the easier it becomes to kind of slip into a bit of a somewhat doomer mode here, where it's like, oh, I don't know, man. Shit. I think maybe this is just how it's going to be for the rest of this year, But It's July, dude. July sucks for gaming. July is ass for gaming every time. Every year, July is ass for gaming, man. So we're almost there. Just got to push through. Things should start to slowly pick up, slowly, in August. Don't forget they expect a jump in their first party revenue in fiscal year 25. That's true too. That's true too. Yeah. What a moment. Well, guys, listen, I told you at the beginning of the stream that this was going to be a shorter one today, and I see that we just hit the hour and a half mark. So, speaking of July and speaking of the heat, dude, I think my air conditioner tripped up or something because it's like getting really, really, really hot in here. State of Play in September, soft launch of the PS5 Pro. I hope so, dude. I'm actually starting to profusely sweat for some reason. So I'm going to end this stream here. I just wanted to keep it shorter today. Wanted to just talk to you guys mainly about this new PlayStation Studio leak. And as I said, I have a video going out as well. Okay. So please look forward to that video. Maybe those of you who are here already today, I'm still going to encourage you to watch it. It's going to go out probably in the next hour and a half. So I want to encourage you guys to watch it. But yeah, this is where I'm going to close this out, guys. I want to thank you guys for tuning in, for showing up. And yeah, boss is totally knocked out. Between my sugar crash and this heat, I feel like I'm starting to burn up here. God, every summer, man, every summer, I'm like, I hate summer. Like, I like it for the first like week or two. And then once it really starts to get hot, it's just like, dude, this sucks. You know, even like there's been so many days lately where it's so hot. It's like, I don't want to go outside to do anything. Even if it is to like, yeah, be in a pool or, you know, whatever. Like, I'm just like, I just want to be in air conditioning, man. But in the middle of summer, I yearn for winter. And every winter I yearn for summer. It's just how it goes, right? It's just how it goes. But all right, guys, enjoy the rest of your day. I want to make sure to give a shout out to Devil Shooter as well. He does the timestamps. To be honest, Devil Shooter, I don't know if you're here right now. I don't think you need to do timestamps for this one. This is a really, really short stream. And we basically only talked, like we had an intro, we talked about one topic, and then we had basically an outro. So Devil Shooter, no worries, man. You don't have to time. If you already did, that's fine too. But if you didn't, don't worry about it. And thank you to everybody who dropped a super chat as well. Devil Shooter saying, I lived my whole life in the heat. I can deal with 90s, no problem. Yeah, I remember he told me about that. I guess that's good, right? I guess that's good. Devil Shooter saying too late. All right, man. All right. I'm going to probably email you, by the way, Devil Shooter. So look out for that. But all right, guys, that does it. Enjoy the rest of your day. Look out for my video coming out a little bit later. And depending on what happens, there should be another stream tomorrow, hopefully with some more topics. So, yeah, I hope that'll happen. But that does it. I will catch you guys in the next one. So until then, take care, everyone.